Hey everyone, it's Jesse back here again with another Deck Builders Challenge, and I'm back with Neil. How are you
Hey
today?
guys.
So, Neil, we're back again with another challenge, and this one I'm pretty excited about. It's Crazy Joe's Explosives. This is a card that's kind of near and dear to my heart. It's named after my uncle's fireworks stand that I worked at when I was a kid, and um, it's just one of those things that has kind of got a more of a personal connection to me. So I really love Crazy Joe's just from a personal side. What do you think of the card?
This is a card that I never ever played.
Okay.
Um, I think it's a great card, but it just is very difficult for me to put a 4-point card into my sight curve.
Yep.
And but we did that draft tournament up in Omaha at PretzCon, and obviously in draft it doesn't have the drawback of a point cost, and I played it, and it turned out to be awesome. It exceeded all expectation. It did everything that you said it would, and I never thought it would. And I've been trying to play with it in Constructed ever since.
Well,
But
yeah, I agree. It's obviously it's by design that it's a 4-point card because the impact on the game can be pretty substantial. For those players that maybe aren't familiar with Crazy Joe's or maybe have overlooked it, let's just talk a little bit about how it works. So, the first line of the card says, remove all explosive counters from target site controlled by opponent. For each explosive counter removed, deal 4 damage to that site. Sounds pretty straightforward. So the first half of this clause is its payment cost, right? Which just means that however many explosive counters are out there in the world, you can remove them and get 4 damage dealt to that target for each one. And then the second ability is activate, and then put an explosive counter on target site controlled by opponent. So you don't have to spend these counters, right? You could kind of build them up over time if you wanted to. And maybe, in the future we'll find ways to put out more than one counter a turn, or maybe we'll find other cards that someday add more explosive counters. And, that'll just really kind of increase the power of this card substantially. Of course, I've always been a big fan of this because this is like dealing an 8 Solarium feedback to a site every single turn. And so one of the things that I look at with this card when I was designing it and when we were costing it in the curve was, yes, it's a 4-point card, but at 5 influence, you probably don't have to run a playset. Do you find that to be the truth?
yeah, absolutely. Given the opportunity to run a playset, I would, because they stack pretty well.
Right.
Even if you take 5 damage to play your second one and get an additional counter, it's still probably really good for you. However, like you said, by the 5th turn of the game, you don't need to have 4 in your deck to have one.
No, exactly. I mean, by turn 5, I was doing some probability math on this. You've got, with 2 in the deck, you've got about a 40% chance of drawing it. So, when you really look at that and you go, okay, I'm going to draw, a total of 15 cards, or almost a quarter of my deck at that point. If 2 of them are in the deck, there's a pretty good probability of picking up one of these in the process. And let's talk a little bit about the stats that go along with this. The site doesn't produce a ton of Solarium. We debated a lot internally whether Crazy Joe's would even make Solarium at all, but ultimately decided sites that don't make Solarium are even worse off. So we ended up landing on this, still making a point of Solarium for the player. But we gave it 8 attack and 6 defense. And that makes it one of the most aggressive sites in the game, and a site space that we really want to kind of further explore as we move forward in design. What do you think about a site that has 8 attack on it? I mean, what does that represent to you, either playing against it or playing with it?
So by the time you get to turn 5, a lot of times the only stat that matters on your sites is the defense.
Mm-hmm.
You might have 2 power in your site, or with it's a trap, you might get somebody pretty good, but that's the only time the power stat really matters past the early game. But that's just completely untrue about Crazy Joe's. Like, how many things in the game have 8 toughness?
Not a lot.
The list is not very big.
Right. I mean,
and so you're trading something for it, that's more than pretty much every other site can say at that cost. Just flat in a vacuum, you just automatically trade for something, sometimes two things.
Right. I think it gives it staying power, which is one of the things that we really wanted to try to achieve, and I hope we did when we were designing this card, was going, oh, well, if it has 8 attack, yeah, I mean, my opponent has to make a significant sacrifice to their board state, potentially, to take away Crazy Joe's. And maybe that's worth it, but maybe it's not. And if it's not, then Crazy Joe stays around and you get a lot more than 1 or 2 activations out of it. And something of note that maybe a lot of players, I think, overlook, at least at first glance, is you don't have to activate Crazy Joe to pull those Crazy Joe's explosives to pull those counters off, right? You just have to take an action in a command window to make that effect go off. So there's some real value in this idea of like, well, if you don't have to pop the explosive counter, you don't, and you can kind of build this mounting pressure on your opponent. And we'll see how it plays. Every gameplay situation is a little different in how you manage that. But when you evaluate a card like this, Neil, what's in constructed play? Is it just the construction cost that keeps it out of most of your constructed decks?
Yeah, that's the absolute only thing that does. Okay. I'm already playing sites that cost 5 in my deck. This one's better than they are. And, after playing with it a little bit more, it's kind of like a combatant by itself, where you have this 8/6, and obviously the 8 power doesn't attack, but it blocks just as well as Oathkey blocks.
Mm-hmm.
And it also attacks for 4, kind of. Where
it's like a Facade Saboteur, right?
If you take some turns to charge it up and like get a big giant explosion, but just by itself on turn 5, if you activate it and remove the counter, you would just have 4 unblockable damage. And
exactly.
That's very powerful.
Yeah, I agree completely with that. I mean, number one, like if you really think about it, there's not many sites in this game, at least in the competitive meta space, that really extend above, maybe 9 defense, right? Sure, there's sites like Bergheim out there that have the ability to give you 16 defense on a site, and satellite network facilities give you 10. But everything kind of below that is in the 9 space, right? So this idea that this site can just kind of go, okay, well, there's 4 damage, and then you kind of pretty easily on the Scythian side, in my opinion, combine it with something like a feedback effect, right? And so now you're like, oh, well, I made 8 Solarium, I do 4 with Joe's, I do 4 with a feedback, and maybe you got a Flares to go with it, and you do 2. Well, there's 10 damage, and you never even attacked, right? You never even put yourself in the line of fire. To me, Crazy Joe's is one of the best answers to Satellite Network Facility in the meta right now. So if you're playing against a lot of Scythian players that are dropping Satellite Network Facilities, Joe's, to me, seems like your best answer to survival through Network Facility. Maybe even as the Jotun player. The Jotun deck that I built today, I didn't play Facade Saboteur. I really debated it a lot. Like, I was trying to decide, do I play a more aggressive front and use the Sword of Hrothgar over the Facade Saboteur, or do I put the Facade Saboteur and kind of slow the deck down a little bit, but really aim to really synergize these direct damage effects and try to push out, 8 damage a turn with Saboteurs and Joe's explosives. And I think that's an equally good deck. So if you're looking at my deck list after this video has gone up and you're thinking, well, why not run Saboteur? Definitely give it a try, because I think there's some merit to it from the Jotun side. From the Scythian side, Neil, do you see it as a complement to feedback? Do you see it as you see it working better just with straight out aggression lists, where you're just going as aggressive as possible with like Spartan Terminators and Hydra Reavers, and it just gives you an extra 4 points of damage to go alongside those combatants? Or how are you evaluating it from the Scythian side, since you built the Scythian deck this week?
I think it's very good in both cases. If you can find the points to play it, it's just a great card. But specifically, like you were saying with the Saboteur, it does synergize very well with other direct damage sources. Mm-hmm. Because right now in the meta, It's a Trap is so big, and just like killing their site without attacking it is so much safer than trying to attack your guys into an It's a Trap.
Well, exactly. And I'm again kind of going into that kind of really kind of advanced rule set or understanding of the game. But if you attack a site and you take it out with like a Joe's and a Saboteur or a Joe's and a feedback, that's your combatant damage is going straight to the face of your opponent now. So that's a huge amount of damage, right? Like that's like it's really kind of defeating what sites are supposed to do, which is slow down the damage dealt to opponents and kind of prolong the game a little bit longer. And so, you can kind of cheat the health of an opponent by eliminating sites before you ever actually hit them with your combatants. So you can declare attacks, you can go through the command window of the attack phase, eliminate the site, and deal that much extra damage to an opponent. And that's a huge advantage, right? I mean, that's a way to really accelerate even an aggro list.
Yeah, absolutely. The biggest blowout in the world is when you attack with your 4 Jotun guys, and they play It's a Trap, and then you kill that site.
Yep.
They're just out 2 cards, and you've smashed them for 30, and the game is over. It's
exactly. It is 100% for sure there. And I think what you'll find is the list that I put together on the Jotun side doesn't sacrifice a lot of power to make this card work. You can't run, 4 Oath Keys and 4 Warganas when you play Crazy Joes, right? Because you've just got too many points invested in things like Art of Wars, and you kind of have to give up like the Storm Citadel, at the 4-drop slot. And this card kind of goes into the place of Storm Citadel, but it's actually doing more than Storm Citadel, right? Because Storm Citadel is only giving you a +2 attack. This is almost like giving you a +4 attack in the sense of what you're trying to accomplish there. So you're still gaining something over Citadel, in my opinion, and it's a safe removal of Citadel to put Crazy Joes in. And so like in my list, I was able to run 4 Oath Keys, and I was able to run 2 Warganas. So I still get 6 Type 1s into the list, which is I'm very happy with. And I could have swapped Warganas for Lord Fenris's, but I like keeping my Solarium curve a little bit down. Plus, I like the idea that my swords, and since I chose the Sword of Hrothgar in this list, to give Sword of Hrothgar focus from Morgana if the play comes up, and so be it also with the Shield of Hrothgar. I could easily swap the Type 1s around too, right, and go 4 Morganas and 2 Oath Keys and probably come out better. But the reason I'm trying to go 4 Oath Keys is if I can hit Oath Key on time, this is my 4-drop site now.
Yeah, I think all of those things are good. I mean, the deck's trying to be very aggressive, so you're right. It's always just going to be like 4 additional damage, and that's great. Like, I think it would be very hard to correctly cost a card that just does 4 damage for 0 influence cost, like as a tactic. So Joe's is very good in that sense.
Yeah, I agree. So on the Scythian side, I mean, when you were building the deck, what was some of your key choices that you made in your deck build that were aimed directly at, this idea of leveraging Joe's as best as possible? Obviously, you're probably playing some amount of Centropolis still, maybe 4 of. But what was the idea behind it? Are you going for the slower build up to a mass explosion? Are you trying to be super aggressive with it? What was your decision making there?
My deck's kind of grindy. I like the idea of like feedbacks and other direct damage along with the Joes. I think that that's very good. I think that right now attacking is not always the best thing you can be doing. I mean, unless you're Jotun, then that's all that you do. But
sure.
It doesn't take a lot more damage than just the Joes by itself to kill pretty much every site up to 5. And I think that the card feedback by itself can do that pretty well.
Yep. And feedback's such a, I always like to try to use, I don't like to try to use it. I always want to use feedbacks on combatants, but with cards like Evasion in the meta, you just really can't, right? You just can't take that risk of burning a tactic out like feedback, trying to take out a combatant unless it's like a desperation play, like, high risk, high reward type scenario. Otherwise, the safe plays always use feedback on sites.
Yeah, the only time that feedback is really good on a combatant is if you have like Centropolis, their guy, and they evaded that. And then you can respond to the evasion and get them. But you're right, evasion is a big problem for removal spells like that. I think From Whence has the same issue, but to a lesser extent. But in this deck, like we're talking about, I hope that I'm not shooting your guys down very often.
Right. Yeah, I mean, I definitely feel like when we talked about all of the Deck Builder Challenge cards up to this point, Shield Generator, they all have significant places in the meta, but they're build around me cards, right? They're cards that you kind of have to change your philosophy and go, okay, I'm gonna build this card and build this deck specifically around this idea of leveraging this card.
Right. Especially after the cost investment of Joe's, you really needed to do some work. So this is maybe the biggest build around me card in the BPG expansion.
Yep. And so this is I always like asking players this question because I know what my preferences are, but do you prefer Joe's in the front row or do you prefer trying to protect Joe's in the rear row?
I would always put in the front.
Yeah.
I think that getting the additional card out of like them attacking into it is just as good as always being able to activate it from the back.
Yeah, I totally agree. I think it's a mistake to hide this site away. I think
right. A large amount of the cost, the construction cost, is in the stats, and if you're putting in the back row, you're just losing out on that.
Exactly. Yeah. No, you're exactly right. You want and particularly against a Cynthian, it could end up being the only site they could attack, right? And so there, especially if you've had a Hecaton come in and wipe out some sites or something like that, and now you play a Joe's, like it may be the only site left. The last thing that Cynthian player really wants to do is roll their Hecaton right into a Joe's and lose their Hecaton too for and deal 6 or 7 damage, which is good, but they lose a significant threat that they've invested a serious amount of resources into, and that's tough on them. So, and that doesn't even go into if you end up it's a trapping Joe's, which is just crazy, insane, bonkers. When you start talking about a 13 Alpha Strike, there's almost nothing that survives in this current meta through that.
Right. What are they doing? Are they attacking with 4 Hecatons? Like,
yeah.
You're just going to kill their whole attack squad.
Exactly. So, all right. Well, I think we've definitely talked about some of the strengths of this card. I'm pretty excited to see your deck in action and see how it all works out. I hope last week the Jotun had a little bit of a rough show. I hope maybe I can vindicate them a little bit this week. We'll see.
You can blame that on me and not on the Jotun. I don't think that deck was a great list.
No, that's okay. That's part of these deck builder challenges, right? Just so everybody's aware that's watching this video, Neil and I don't test these decks before you're seeing them played for the first time. So we theory craft them outside of this video series, and then we come in with these kinds of ideas. And so obviously some ideas are going to be better than others. And, I'm not sure that we can always say that every idea we come up with in this space is going to be tier 1 competitive, but the idea is to get you as players thinking about maybe this is a card I should consider how to put in because it's going to free up this problem maybe I've been having in my local meta with, Cynthian players playing satellite network facilities or, Jotun players, really coming out of the gate really fast and how do I slow down an all-out assault force that's coming after me? And well, Joe's can do that, right? Because it might be the only site they can attack at that point, and that's a huge loss for them if that happens.
Yeah, I hope a lot of the people that were watching last episode's Game 2 saw how bad I felt when you turned that It's a Trap face down and
yeah,
I just lost the game on the spot.
Yeah, it's
powerful stuff going on, and I don't think everybody's doing it.
Yeah, I agree completely, and that's just kind of one of those things. I think that we've put a lot of cards into the game that offer significant balancing or counter moves to some of the power plays that we've seen in competitive meta space. that, sometimes I get these private messages, or I get messages, emails that say, why did you build this card? Like, this card is clearly broken. And then you go, but there's about 4 different ways you can approach how to fix that or go against that card and win. And I think Joe's is one of those answers. I'm not going to name out specific cards that Joe's counters, but ultimately it's a very powerful card. It's very much worth its construction costs. And I hope these videos and this series of games here today will demonstrate just exactly what it's capable of. Okay, so I think we're going to jump into gameplay then, Neil, unless you've got anything else to say on Joe's in particular.
No, I'm ready to smash some games.
All right, let's do it. I got you for a 1.
We're off to a good start.
I think you rolled 1 last week, man. All right, so that's 12. So I'm definitely going to be on the play. The Joe Toon love initiative. That's just kind of the way they want to play, and particularly where I'm playing kind of the aggressive beatdown deck. I want, speed has got to be on my side here. I'm going to mulligan my hand, Neil. I don't know.
I'm going to keep this.
All right. There were some good things there, but if I was teaching a player this game, I would tell him to keep that hand. But and I probably should have now in retrospect.
All right, everyone watching, remember to not take Jesse's advice because he won't keep the hands he tells you to.
Yeah, exactly right. No, I should have kept that hand. There were some good things going on, and I could have tried to draw into it. But I'm going to play an influence, and it's your go.
No, don't listen to me either. Jesse's very conservative, and you should definitely take his advice.
I got pretty aggressive with that mulligan.
That's okay. I have just a face down and a pass for you.
Okay. Oh, man. Well, that's going down. Face down and a pass.
All right. I'm going to play a sight and then pass to you.
All right, so we're both ripping out of the gate here pretty fast, aren't we?
Yeah.
All right. Hey, small favors come in the form of top decks. All right, I'm going to drop this out. I'm going to flip this guy up, get a Solarium counter, make 3 Solarium, and play a Sword of Hrothgar. So that's going to be my turn. Pass. So Sword's a good. I mean, obviously, I would have much rather had Sword on turn 2. Don't get me wrong, but I mean, I'll take the fact that I top decked into the spoils. Otherwise, we're still stuck not playing anything yet. So.
All right. Well, I have a processing plant, development base.
Yep.
And a master mining for you and a Spartan Terminator.
Sounds like a plan.
Go ahead.
All right. I'm going to put a forge out in front of that security post. And make 4 Solarium. Let's drop a Wargana.
Okay.
And then I'm going to swing. Oh, I was not playing Battle for Sularia on Tabletop Simulator last, but I'm going to swing for 3 plus 4 is 6 damage here.
Okay, I'm going to trap you.
Okay. Let's think through this here. I think it's good.
Okay.
So we'll go into my my discard phase, and I will harvest the sword. Then I'll pass turn.
All right, I'm going to play a second Terminator.
Sounds like a
I'm
winner
going
to
to pass.
Me. Okay. I'm going to drop a Joe's. Let's go ahead and put a good old explosive counter out. I guess we'll just use this anarchy counter for now. We're going to drop it right there. I make 5, but I want to make one more, so I'm going to strengths and go to 6 and play an oath key.
Okay.
And a shield. And I'm going to attack into that Sularia mining station.
Okay. I have no blocks.
Okay. I'm going to remove the counter. So that'll kill the mining station. This is exactly what we talked about in the open here, right? And then I'm going to double Art of War.
Oh my.
So it's going to be 6, 8, 10 damage straight to the face. Pass turn.
Right. I took too many. I'm at 13.
Okay.
Okay, well, I also have a Joe's.
Yeah.
I don't know. The first Joe's is a little better than the second Joe's.
Yeah, it is. It's still going to hurt, but double Art of War is going to help save my dudes. That's for sure.
All right. Well, I'm going to go ahead and attack your forge.
Okay.
It's my guys.
Yeah, I got no defenders.
Okay. That will be 10.
Gonna use Joe's there?
Nope.
No. Oh, wow. Okay, bold move, Cotton. So 2 blaster and 4 is 6. Go to 18.
Go ahead.
Okay. All right. I make 6, so I'll do a security post and a security post. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 Solarium. Play another shield, or excuse me, sword. Technically, I could have played those sites for. Yeah, I can do that. So this would be 2 and 3 is 5. What the hey? That takes me to 7. Sorry. And that lets me get rid of that card too.
Okay.
Yep. That's what we want to do there. Okay. All right, so Morgana and the sword are going here. All right, we are back after a mild snafu with internet connections, and I am in the middle of attacking. So, Neil, I'm attacking with Morgana and the Sword of Hrothgar into Joe's, and Oathkey is going at that prototype development base.
All right. Let's see. These are big guys.
They are. Yep. The sword is, or the shield is an 8/6, which seems pretty crazy for a 2 costing dude. And Morgana is a 10/8.
All right, we're going to take a break for me to do some math.
Okay. Should I start the Jeopardy music?
Let's see. And Oathkey is attacking me for the old 11.
Yep. It's just a small number.
Well, I think you got me with the double Art of War
Yeah.
because I have the It's a Trap,
Okay.
but I'm still dead to lethal.
Yeah.
Either way, I can't kill the Oath Key, and if I It's a Trap this, I get both your guys, but I still take
a lot of
8,000
damage
from Oath Key.
Yeah, because I do a Joe's onto Oath Key Sight.
Yep.
Which would knock it to 2.
So you're essentially doing 15, and I end up taking. Oh, maybe I do survive. Maybe I go to 1.
So we do this, which would
Goes
put
to
that
2.
out there. Take that to 2. Oath Key hits for 11 into 2, so it's 9 and 3 is 12. Takes you to 1.
Okay. And do I have enough to kill both of your guys?
You don't, because this is an 8 and a
Yep.
6 is 14.
Yep.
So Morgana survives. And she hits for 10 into 6, so it's 4 and 5
I
is
take
9.
more than 1.
Yeah, yeah. Takes you to -8, I think. But you do get a return swing if you can put something together. I would probably put a Joe's counter out there somewhere.
Yeah, I don't think I can 20 you. Let's see.
You never know.
Yep, I'm dead.
Okay.
Instead of giving away my super secret tech, I will go to the next game.
Fair enough. My super secret hidden card was another red condor.
Yeah, I thought I was pretty safe in assuming that you didn't have anything because you didn't have anything the turn before in that same slot, and you had no cards in hand, but you just had 2 Art of Wars, and it got me real good.
I just saved the Art of Wars because I was like, no need to show them to you because the Art of Wars wasn't going to save my sword in that scenario. So I was like, well, just let you think I don't have anything.
All right, well, I will go first, and I will keep this hand.
Okay. Oh boy, I will not. I like that some parts of that hand a lot. Can I have it back? All right.
No.
Okay.
I have a perimeter alert system. Go ahead.
Okay. I got a face down influence card. Go ahead. Hitting the sights.
Mining station, pass. Yep, hitting the sights, nothing to do.
Well, I'm glad you didn't have the masterminding there. I'm just gonna say, like.
Then I would have things to do.
Probably, yeah, pretty good chance. I'm gonna drop a shipyard out there into play, and pass the turn.
Still curving out?
You are curving out.
I am. I'm going to play Projectus this time, though.
Seems legit.
Go ahead.
Okay. I love Projectus. But I got nothing, so it's your go.
All right. I will play this Centropolis.
Okay.
Actually.
You got 6.
Yep, just an Animus.
Just an Animus. No big deal.
Go ahead.
Okay. Just gonna slow play you here. This is my strategy. Go ahead.
Just playing 2/2s.
You're up.
All right. So I don't have a site.
Okay.
But I do have. a Spartan Terminator.
Seems good.
And then I will send my guys into your front sight.
Okay.
That would be 9.
All right. Well, I'm gonna force your hand. It's to trap the site.
Okay. I'll I will projectise my guy, and I'll move my projectise to the hidden zone.
Oh, okay. Nice. No, that's a good move. Okay.
And then I will pass.
Pass turn.
I will Centropolis your 2/2.
Do I want that to happen? Can I do anything about that not happening? I'm gonna fix your health over here.
Oh, thank you.
I'm
I'm just
the wrong way.
confident.
Yeah. I think you probably got this one locked up. Have pretty much drawn pretty poorly.
I noticed that. Alright, I'm gonna flip a Master Mining. Oh, not that one. And a Hero's Boon on my
Yep.
this guy.
Yep.
And then I'm not gonna play anything. And
Okay.
I'm gonna attack your site with my these guys. All my guys. So 6, 7, 8, 12.
Well, just to
and
minimize
5
some of
is-
the damage, we'll do it again.
Okay. I'll prevent all the damage to Terminator, and I'll move the Terminator hidden.
Okay. So the Terminator hits for 8.
Yep.
All right. So 3 blaster and 2 is 5, and I go to 20.
And then I will pass.
And the stellar draws just keep happening. Go ahead. It's never good when you discard on turn 6.
Yep, you're not doing a hell of a lot of things. That's not very good for you. I'll Centropolis your guy again.
Okay, fair enough.
I don't want to let that 2/2 untap. That's just not how I.
Is that how you roll?
No. Flip another Master Mining.
Okay.
And I'll attack your thing.
Well, let's do it again.
Alright, well, this time I'm going to feed back your site.
Okay.
And I'm going to flip this Solarian Flares and ping your little 2/2/2.
Well,
So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. So 7 to the site.
take 2 to the
and
site.
3 to the guy.
Yep. And then it's 4 and 8 is 12 plus another 5 is 17, so I go to 1. You got this
Go ahead.
game. You got this game.
Yeah, it doesn't. That wasn't like actually playing cards. We just like you just didn't do anything.
There was my hand.
I drew like all my animuses instead of things that I could play.
Well, I drew all my
But
combatants
I
that
got
I
you.
couldn't play. that was a thing. Like I just like kept drawing combatants. I'm like, there's sights in this deck somewhere, I promise. I definitely want the initiative back.
Yeah, I'm sure. No Joe's that game, but it would have been real good.
Yeah.
If your opponent is ever sight screwed, Joe's is really, really good.
That's true.
That's my advice.
I'm taking a mulligan there. Well,
All right,
okay.
I'll try this here.
Here we go. Watchtower. Along the watchtower. Go ahead.
Face down, go. Uh-oh.
Go ahead.
You're playing cards this game.
I am trying to play some cards this game. I don't know if it's going to work out, but we'll see what happens.
All right, I'm going to play that, and I'm going to play a mining station.
Okay.
I'm going to flip a master mining program and play a projectus.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Go with a Cloud Falcon. Pass turn.
I have a development base.
Okay.
And an animus.
Okay.
And I will try to attack your shipyard. Okay. I will target itself.
Okay.
Go ahead. Projectus is such a good card.
Yeah, it nullifies its trap. That's what he does.
Card's really, really good.
That's what he does. Play a strength at 5 Solarium. Play a sword and Shield of Rothgar. Yeah, that's fine.
You got some attacks for me?
I'm thinking about it. I'm gonna pass for now.
Okay. I'll play another development base.
Okay.
And I'll play a Spartan Terminator.
Sounds like a plan.
And I will pass the turn.
Okay.
Condor.
One sec. I'll pass.
Alright. I'll move my projectus hidden.
Okay.
And I will put this hero spoon on him. That one, that one. I'll play a mining station, and a development base.
Okay.
And I'll pass the turn.
All right. The oath key.
Okay.
All right. I'm going to attack Cloud Falcon here. Red Condor here.
Okay.
And then them to there.
Okay. Well, I will block this guy.
Okay.
And I will block this guy.
Okay.
And I will... That is all the blocking I will do.
Okay. Fire Art of War.
Okay. I'll project as my Terminator.
I'll fire from the sky.
Okay.
Anything else?
Nope.
Another Art of War.
Oh my gosh. Things are getting dumb.
Yeah, because I just turned that little shell of Hrothgar into a 6/6.
Okay, so let's see. Okay. I'll move my Animus hidden.
Okay. I'll pass.
Okay.
So I'm going to do 1, 2, 3, 4 from the barrage, from the fire from the sky.
Yep.
So that'll take that site. The Terminator will kill my Condor.
Yep. But it does end up doing 3 damage to the site.
Yep. But nothing else is going into that site. I was playing around. It's a trap. So this Condor hits for 8 into 6. So it's 2 blasts through and 3 is 5. This guy hits for 8 plus another 6 is 14 direct. And I'll pass the turn.
All right. Come on, dressed up. Okay, you got me.
Okay.
I think that I had a chance with if I drew a feedback and it's a trap or some combination of those.
Yeah, I had another It's a Trap and an It's a Trap and a Strength.
Well, I guess I'm glad I decided not to attack.
But my next draw was just an evasion oath key. But my third Art of War is coming 2 turns away.
You did draw many of those this match.
I did. I mean, it just goes to show. Jotun win with Art of Wars and Type 1s, but
it is good.
Mm-hmm. Particularly, this is what you know, we discuss internally with the team a lot, like Saboteur, Vasad Saboteur versus Sword of Rothgar, because they're essentially Sword of Rothgar costs a little more in Solarium, but they have the same construction cost, so they kind of fit into the same slot of the deck, if you will. And I can't decide whether or not I like the Saboteur. I think I like the sword better than Saboteur personally. I'm not sure everybody
I
will
agree
agree
with
with
you.
me,
I
but
The biggest reason I like Sword better is because Sword has 8 Art of Wars.
mm-hmm,
Like you get 4 Art of Wars and 4 Morganas,
mm-hmm,
and she's just huge. Like the
mm-hmm.
Saboteur gets pretty big, and he's a good card. But if you looked at the games that we played today, all you did was turn your guys sideways. You weren't trying to be real tricky with the
Yeah,
like
that's
damage or anything.
ultimately.
Even the game that we had, the Crazy Joes, you just did specifically what you talked about before the match, where essentially all it was just like +4 damage
Mm-hmm.
um, to my
Yeah,
head.
yeah, that's the way I look at it. I just look at it as like, well, this is like getting 2 Art of Wars. Crazy Joe's is like 2 Art of Wars, and I pay 4 construction points for 2 Art of Wars, so I get 2 Art of Wars out of one card for 4 construction. So I feel like the card's in a really good spot, and I think it might actually be pretty strong in the Jotun, just if you want to go really hyper aggressive. But I can definitely understand like players that go, I really want Saboteur to synergize with it, and
Yeah,
I mean, yeah, that's good too for sure. And I'm not sure what comes out better there because like a Saboteur, you know, Saboteur is going to hit for maybe like in this game he would hit for 2 because I only had 4 Solarium, but that's 6 with the Joes on the board, and the in this particular game because of the double Art of Wars, that made the sword hit for 8, but if you didn't have the second Art of War, it's hitting for 6 too. So it's kind of like a net wash, right? Like it's about the same overall impact. The only real difference is the sword can go straight to the face, whereas Saboteur and Joe's as a combo can only take a sight. So I was able to get 8 more damage this way or 6 more damage this way versus the other. I mean, it's a really big toss up, and I think that I would love to hear Jotun builders who are following this series, let me know what you think about Saboteur or testing Saboteur in place of the sword here. And you could probably then, like I said, skip Organa to a certain degree if you wanted to make, put Fenris in the deck, or if you wanted to make uh, the Joe's maybe even a little bit more reliable, you could go to a third copy of Joe's in that spot pretty easily, and then just fill in with a one cost from somewhere. But I've also quit playing a lot of Heroes Boon in the Jotun because I figure their type ones are just so hated on in the first place in so many different
and
ways.
it's like the top of the curve most of the time.
Mm-hmm.
So like ideally you would want the Hero's Boon to let you play the Oath Key, but it never works that way.
Right. And that's where strength in numbers to me actually has a little bit more impact because at least that way, if I've got a grip full of combatants, that cost a total of 6, 7, 8 Solarium, strength in numbers allows me to kind of flood the field one turn, which gives me huge board presence. So I'm really liking the way I've been dialing Jotun lists in recently, and I really think that they're come Nationals time. There's some really good cards to go with them here. I mean, you could even argue for what it's worth, and maybe we should do a deck builders challenge with Kaiser. I know he's won a couple. He's been in some tournament winning decks, but Kaiser on the Jotun side has got some pretty significant play. Copying Organas, copying Oathkeys, copying Fenris's are all really good places to be. So,
He has more good targets in Jotun. He just doesn't have the best one.
mm-mm.
That's why he's always in the Synthi Index.
Agreed, and because the best one for him is Hecaton Warhulk, right?
Right.
And it costs 1 construction, so really the only piece of the combo you pay for really is Kaiser, right? Whereas in the Jotun you pay for all the pieces that make the combo there. You pay for Kaiser, you pay for, but I mean, I could have 2 Oathkeys on the field. I mean, granted, the Kaiser Oath Key can't be an 11 attack, right? It doesn't get that big, but it still gives you the ability to net influence cost for 2 less. And I wonder if Kaiser copying Oath Key or Kaiser copying Morgana, like, there's value there in 2 different plays, and then you could get to Cloud Stronghold faster than 9-cost site.
That seems ambitious, but I like where your head's at.
Well, yeah, I mean, I don't think it's going to happen a lot, and I certainly wouldn't load up a full play set of Cloud Strongholds. But maybe we should deck build Cloud Strongholds soon and see if we can make it be consistent. So I don't know. I just, those are the fun things I like exploring in this particular game, is like this idea of cards that don't necessarily look great on paper or in a vacuum, and maybe they aren't, but maybe they are. Like, if you just specifically build around them with the goal in mind of, 90% of games I'm going to win before Cloud Stronghold would ever hit the battlefield. But those games where I don't, man, it could be a big deal, right? Like, I mean, if all my flyers get another +2/+2, that gives me a 5th Art of War. And combine that with Kaiser copying Morgana, might not be bad. I don't know. So, but I appreciate, Neil, that you do these challenges with us every week, and I'm sorry you didn't get to see your Joes today, except you got it in the first game, I guess.
I did. The first game definitely showed off the power of Joe's. Even from my side, like, I didn't ever activate it, but it was just like a big threat.
Mm-hmm.
I kept it back, hoping that like I was going to survive one turn, and I would get to end a turn, put a counter on your Joe's, and then untap and put a counter on it and kill your Joe's.
Yep.
But obviously that didn't happen because you had 2 Art of Wars. But
yep. You really just needed
sometimes.
You really just needed, yeah. I mean, like a second It's a Trap there would have obviously wrecked it and would have really turned the tide and may have turned the whole game around for you. Because I lost.
That was a good point, because that game, again, even though I was crushed by the second Art of War, really showed that like you need to put Joe's in the front. If I didn't have Joe's in the front that game, we wouldn't have even tried to guess like if I could survive.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, you're absolutely right. I think it goes back to one of the things that I've been testing a lot lately is interference on the Cynthian side, and the impact that shutting down a single Art of War has on the game.
Well, I wish you wouldn't tell everybody, because Nashville is coming up and I want to win. But you're absolutely right. That card's great.
I mean, with Projectus being an early, very early to play, play consistently early, and then Animus being able to kind of essentially put them into the row or hidden zone by turn 5. Yeah, you're not going to get interference off probably before Art of War gets a hit off, but usually a single hit from Art of War enabled Jotun doesn't win the game, right? It puts you on your back heels, but interference just says, well, I'm going to completely change the math now. And
right, just one Art of War isn't enough to break you. Double Art of War usually is, but like the best is when you get to block and like set up combat math, and then just interference their Art of War, and they get absolutely crushed.
Yeah. I'm really testing it a lot more in the Cynthian decks, because I think there's something to be said for it, and I guess we'll see. But maybe Neil and I will discuss a new Deck Builders Challenge for a couple of weeks out. Let us know what you think of this video. Let us know what you think of Crazy Joe's Explosives. Are you playing with it now? Are you not playing with it? Are you thinking about it after watching this video today and hearing us discuss the card? And of course, if you like this kind of content, we appreciate thumbs up. That tells us that we're on the right track, to making good content. And obviously, if you want to stay up to date with all the videos we put out, just hit that little subscribe button and the little bell icon to get notified when we put new videos out. That'll let you know right away when a video is up on YouTube from us. And we will definitely see you guys in the next Deck Builder Challenge video. Neil, thanks so much again for being here. I appreciate it. I always like getting some games in with you.
Yeah, I love brewing and I love playing with you. We'll keep doing it. If you guys have a card that you want to see us brew around, please put in the comments or on Facebook.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, Facebook community page is one place, we are always listening there. Comments on the YouTube video will tell us as well. So good idea, Neil. Definitely. I appreciate you bringing that up. I mean, if you want us to brew something, let's challenge us. We love it. We love seeing what we can do.